Describe a time when you were stuck in a traffic jam. You should say when it happened, where you were stuck, what you did while waiting, and explain how you felt in the traffic jam.
Okay. I'd like to talk about a time I was stuck in a traffic jam last year. It happened during the evening rush hour in Dhaka. Dhaka is known for its traffic problems. I was on my way to a restaurant to meet a friend, and I just got completely stuck. The road was just packed. Cars, buses, rickshaws, everything. Barely moved for like an hour. So while I was waiting, I listened to some music on my phone, scrolled through social media a bit, replied to some messages, just trying to make use of the time. But I have to admit, I was getting pretty frustrated. I was running late, and there was absolutely nothing I could do about it. Traffic jams in Dhaka are kind of a daily thing, but it's definitely more stressful when you have somewhere to be.
Thank you. Now for part 3. Would you rather be in a car or a bus in a traffic jam?
I think I'd prefer to be in a car. It's just more comfortable and private. You can listen to your own music. You've got the AC. You can make calls if you need to. Buses can get pretty noisy and crowded, which just makes the whole thing more stressful. Though I guess if the bus wasn't too packed, it might be okay. At least you wouldn't have to do the driving yourself.
Do you like to use public transportation?
Yeah, I do use it quite a bit, especially for commuting. It's definitely cheaper than owning a car. Plus, it's good for reducing traffic.
Hmm.
But sometimes it can be a bit of a hassle, especially during rush hour when everything's crammed. It would be much better if it was a bit more comfortable and efficient.
What are good ways to manage traffic?
Well, there are a few things that come to mind. I think expanding public transportation is really important, like adding more bus routes or metro lines that would get people out of their cars. And then maybe dedicated lanes for buses and bikes so they can move more freely. Also, better traffic light coordination. Sometimes it feels like the lights are working against you.
Do you think highways will help reduce traffic jams?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Highways can offer faster routes for long-distance travelers and also divert traffic away from city centers.
Yeah.
Like you've got those bypass highways for trucks and people traveling between cities. That keeps them off the busy city roads. But I think good planning and maintenance are crucial to make sure they stay effective.
Do you think developing public transport can solve traffic jam problems?
I think it's a big part of the solution for sure. If public transport was really reliable, clean, and affordable, more people would choose it over driving.
Mm.
And that could make a huge difference to traffic flow. But of course, the systems need to be properly maintained and upgraded regularly to meet demand.
How can we solve the traffic jam problem?
Well, it's a complex issue, isn't it? I don't think there's one magic solution. But we need to look at a few things. Improving public transport is a must, and encouraging people to use it more, whether it's buses, trains, or even carpooling. And then better road planning, like building more flyovers and expanding roads, and also those smart traffic management systems using real-time monitoring to optimize the traffic lights.
Okay, so that was the full Band-Aid response set.
Yeah.
Now we're going to do the exact same questions, but with the Band 9 responses.
Right. I'm ready when you are.
So listen carefully
Mm-hmm.
and try to pick out those little differences, those nuances.
Yeah, the details.
Yeah, that make the Band 9 stand out.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here we go again.
All right, take 2. Clears throat, part 2. Describe a time when you were stuck in a traffic jam. You should say when it happened, where you were stuck, what you did while waiting, and explain how you felt in the traffic jam. I remember this one time, about 6 months ago. I was heading to Bengaluru for a really important meeting. It was during the morning rush on one of the main roads leading into the city. And to make things worse, there was construction going on and it was pouring rain. So what should have been a quick 30-minute drive turned into almost 2 hours of just stop and go, stop and go. Awful. Anyway, I figured I might as well use the time productively. So I checked my emails, responded to a few, went over my presentation notes, and even listened to part of an audiobook I'd started. At first, I was pretty annoyed, worried about being late. But then I realized getting stressed wouldn't help. So I just tried to focus on getting things done, and that actually helped me manage the stress. It was a good lesson in the importance of planning for delays and having backup rates, just in case.
Thank you. Now for part 3. Would you rather be in a car or a bus in a traffic jam?
I think I'd still prefer a car, if I'm honest. It's just more comfortable, more private, and you have that flexibility, Like you can listen to your own music, take calls, or even work on your laptop if you're not driving. But I think if public transport was really efficient and well managed, I wouldn't mind being on a bus at all. It's definitely a more sustainable option, which is important.
Do you like to use public transportation?
I do appreciate public transportation. It's affordable and it's good for the environment. When you take the bus or the metro, you're using less fuel and creating fewer emissions. So it's definitely a responsible choice. But I think my preference really depends on the quality of the service. If it's on time, clean, and not too crowded, then it's a great alternative to driving. But I know in some cities it can be unreliable or overcrowded, which makes it less appealing.
What are good ways to manage traffic?
I think it needs a combination of technology and good urban planning. Smart traffic systems, the ones that use real-time data to adjust the traffic lights. That can make a big difference to traffic flow. And encouraging things like carpooling and ride-sharing so there are fewer cars on the road. Plus, investing in high-capacity public transport and having dedicated lanes for buses and cyclists so people have better options for commuting.
Do you think highways will help reduce traffic jams?
They can be really effective, especially for providing alternative routes for long-distance travel and freight transport. Like ring roads around cities, they can help keep those big trucks and inner-city traffic out of the center, which eases congestion. But highways on their own aren't a complete solution. You need proper planning, good maintenance, and integration with public transport for them to work in the long term.
Do you think developing public transport can solve traffic jam problems?
Oh, absolutely. When you have a good public transport system, it encourages people to leave their cars at home and use shared transport. That significantly reduces the number of vehicles on the road. Look at cities with extensive metro systems. They often have much smoother traffic flow. But the key is making sure public transport is reliable, safe, and convenient so that people actually want to use it.
How can we solve the traffic jam problem?
It's a multifaceted problem, so it needs a multi-pronged approach.
Yeah.
Firstly, we need urban planning that prioritizes efficient road networks, including things like flyovers and dedicated lanes for public transport. Then there's the technology side, investing in advanced traffic management systems like AI-powered traffic lights that can respond to real-time conditions. And then there are things like promoting flexible work hours and remote working to reduce that peak hour congestion.
Yeah.
And lastly, we need public awareness campaigns to encourage carpooling and eco-friendly transport options. It's about making those long-term changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you have it. Two sets of responses to the exact same questions. One band 8 and one band 9.
Side by side.
Did you notice the differences?
Oh, definitely. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. What stood out to you?
Well, in that part 2, right from the start, the band 9 response just had so much more detail, painting a clearer picture. It wasn't just, I was stuck in traffic. It was, I was heading to Bengaluru for an important meeting. It was construction and pouring rain. It just brought the situation to life more. And that specific detail continues throughout the response.
And it's not just about the detail, it's the language, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like in the band 9 response, instead of just saying it was annoying, it's I was annoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that reflective element. I realized getting stressed wouldn't help, so I focused on getting things done.
Yeah, that shows a deeper level of thought.
Exactly. It's not just describing what happened, but also how you managed your emotions.
And how you learn from the experience,
Yeah.
which I think is really important.
And then when you get into part 3, the differences become even clearer.
Definitely.
The reasoning is more developed, there's more nuance.
That's
Like with that car versus bus question.
Yeah.
The band 8 response is all about the comfort of the car, which is perfectly fine.
Makes sense.
But the band 9 response, it brings in that idea of sustainability.
Right.
It's not just about personal preference, but also considering the bigger picture.
Absolutely.
And it's only open to the bus if the public transport is good quality.
Which I think is a fair point.
Yeah, so it's a more balanced and well thought out response.
And you hear that throughout the rest of part 3 as well. The vocabulary is richer. The sentences are more complex. There are more specific examples.
And always that why, the reasoning behind the answers.
Yeah, like when talking about managing traffic, the Band 8 response mentions expanding public transport and better traffic light coordination, which
Right.
are valid points.
Yeah.
But then the Band 9 response talks about things like smart traffic systems that use real-time data.
It's getting more specific, more technical.
Right. It's not just general suggestions. It's showing a deeper understanding of the solutions.
So it's like the Band 8 responses are hitting the main points, answering the questions clearly.
Mm-hmm.
But the Band 9 responses are building on that, adding those layers of sophistication
More critical analysis.
and using more precise language.
Exactly, showing a real command of the language.
And that comes across really strongly in the discussion about public transport as well.
Yeah.
The Band 8 response focuses on the practicalities like affordability and convenience.
Which are important, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then the Band 9 response adds in the environmental benefits.
Reducing fuel consumption, lowering emissions.
Yeah, it's thinking about the impact.
And then it goes on to say that the preference depends on the quality of the service.
Mm-hmm.
So it's demonstrating a more nuanced understanding of the issue.
It's not just black and white. It's considering all the factors.
Exactly.
So for you, the listener, what we really hope you've gained from this is a clearer understanding of what sets those higher band scores apart in the IELTS speaking exam.
It's about more than just grammar and vocabulary.
Yeah, it's about showing you can engage with the topics in a more sophisticated way.
Expressing complex ideas, using a wider range of language.
And supporting your points with solid reasoning.
This side-by-side comparison really highlights how those small choices you make,
In your vocabulary, sentence structure, the level of detail you provide.
all of that contributes to the examiner's impression of your English proficiency.
It's about showing, not just telling, that you have a strong command of the language.
So as you continue on your language learning journey,
Yeah.
especially if you're preparing for the IELTS,
Mm-hmm.
think about how you can bring these elements into your own speaking.
Yeah.
Add those specific details
Think about the why.
and use a wider vocabulary.
It all makes a difference.
And these skills are valuable beyond just the exam.
Absolutely.
They'll help you communicate more effectively in any situation.
In presentations, discussions, even everyday conversations.
So as you reflect on this comparison today,
Mm-hmm.
think about how these principles of clear explanation, strong reasoning, and precise language,
Could apply to your own communication.
how could you use these strategies?
To be more impactful, more persuasive.
Whether you're at work, in school, or just chatting with friends.
Exactly.
What's the key takeaway for you?
What resonated the most?
As you think about your own communication style,